Everybody's got a dream that's from their heart. Everybody's got what it takes to shine. Everybody's greatness will come in time. What you're about has got to come out. Do something new that comes straight from you. Let your dreams come true. Oh yeah, baby.
Hello, everybody. Look at all the shining happy faces.
Oh, I recognize some people.
We had quite a few people request the link that weren't even in Joe off of Twitter, so that'll be fun. Yeah, you have a built-in audience, Tanya. Okay, it's right on the hour. It's nice to have everyone here. I'm so over the moon. I was telling Tanya that she's the best person to have a call when you're basically, you can tell I do too many thrillers here. You know the thrillers where the girl's in the worst bit of the book and she's freaking out and like somebody's killed somebody and she's most likely going to be blamed, and she goes over to her best friend's house and her best friend puts on a cup of coffee and calms her down and everything's going to be okay. Tanya is the best friend. Tanya's the girl that she's the person that you meet with. The comfy mentor couldn't be a better name for what she does. And I'd heard rumors, and then I got to meet her myself on a session, and it genuinely is. She just has a wonderful way of getting to the heart of the matter, an incredibly sharp business mind that's actually a tiny bit scary, but the way you help isn't threatening. You do it in a way that makes it feel that we can take your advice and we can go with it and make it happen. And I don't know why. I don't know what it is you do. So tell me, can we start earlier? Can we start with what came first? Blunder Woman, narration, where did you come from? The writing, where did this all come from?
Yeah, so I think started back in college a really long time ago, and I was a double major in English and theater, and I did some voiceover work, and at that point audiobooks weren't really a thing. And then they became a thing, and when they became a thing, I happened to live by Brilliance. You guys know Brilliance? Yeah. It's out in Grand Haven. So I sent them an audition and they never responded, and I thought, that's not cool. So I called them, which you're not supposed to do.
How long did you wait before calling them?
I don't know. Like I think I wanted an immediate response, and when they didn't, I was so offended that I called them. And I left them a message because, of course, they didn't pick up. And they happened to be casting a series then, and they heard the message, and I had the vocal quality that they were looking for. So that was my first audiobook.
Wow.
And then I think I was up to like 300 or 400 titles at Brilliance before I branched out. And when I branched out, I found it really difficult because I'm not in LA or New York to understand audiobooks, to understand what happens in this world, to build community, to build connections. So I worked really, really hard to figure it out. And it's kind of why I'm offering the comfy mentor thing to help other people navigate this wilderness.
I have a question. When somebody said to me the other day, and I'd never considered this point, somebody had told me that the amount of books you have, lead with that, the amount of books you have, if that's what you've got going for you. But then a seasoned narrator that has almost 600 books said, it doesn't matter because in 7 years, they start to fall off really fast. I don't understand why that happens. Do writers actually take them down, or?
It's a standard part of audiobook contracts where most companies get the rights for 7 years. And then after that, they can renew it, or the author can take it back, or they can reproduce it.
But why would the writer, in most cases, I would assume the writer would just leave it up there to keep making money because they paid for it once.
Possibly, but at some point, technology evolves, narrator styles evolve and change. Like how the industry started, you read really flat. And now people are really performing it. So tastes change. Maybe by redoing it, you can you have a re-release of your book, you have a new narrator, or you're
Got
up there
it.
and your narrator comes back. So it's just keeping things fresh.
So telling people how many books you have isn't a thing then.
I mean, it tells them a certain bit of information. It tells them how long you've been in the industry. And it tells them if you've made it through the learning curve, the learning hell of your first 10 books.
Okay, got it.
So, you know, when you're starting out, everyone is learning. It's really hard. It's confusing. And every book you do helps you get better.
Got it.
So, but people they love new voices. So even if you don't have many titles, that can be very attractive, which is nice. And if you have a ton of titles, that can be attractive too, because it means you are, as you said, well seasoned.
Well seasoned. I like that. So, okay, so you started off narrating and everything. So how did Blunder Woman come to be? For somebody that's not very familiar with the business, that's quite a leap.
Yeah, well, by that time, I had been in the business for maybe 10 years. And honestly, I got bored. So, and I wasn't getting cast in stuff that I felt like I could do. I wasn't getting challenging material. And I knew a lot of writers, and I knew that people in my area were awesome. And so I contacted a writer friend, Austin Bunn, who did a collection of short stories that were really cool. And I just asked my friends like Luke Daniels and Nick Podell, Amy McFadden, to perform a story. And we did, and then we won an Audie for it. So, and that was my first production.
Oh, wow.
So I'm on the mindset. I'm on the mindset. How many times do I need to say that? I am on the mindset that sometimes you just do things. You do things because you want to. So I did.
But that's what I've noticed about you. And I think that's what's so appealing about you. I've known about 3 or 4 other people in my life that seem to do this. It's like you follow what you like because you like it. Right. And your enthusiasm and enjoyment of it. I mean, as I said, even the branding of Comfy Mentor, that it's clear that it was born out of the love for the creativity.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, why wouldn't you? I guess I don't understand why you wouldn't try things. And
yeah, see, most of us are like, oh, we should do this, we should do that. When you finish all the shoulds and could haves and must haves.
Yeah, that just makes me tired.
Yeah. So do you not have to battle it at all? Have you always done that? Just followed that spark?
Oh, I have huge anxiety issues. So I think actually having a lot of different projects is a way for me to channel some of that energy, which is either creative energy or chaotic energy, right? So when I'm doing a project that challenges me and engages my mind, it kind of helps calm me. So
you're a scanner. You're a scanner. Have you read the Barbara Sher book, Refuse to Choose, I think it's called?
Nope.
Oh my God, you've got to read that book. You're a scanner.
Okay. I don't know what that is. That sounds intense.
There's a personality type, and I think there are 3 different that you can choose from. I'm not sure if it's Refuse to Choose, but it's definitely Barbara Sher, and I'm pretty sure it's Refuse to Choose. And scanners are, if anybody's familiar with it, type in the chat. I'm pretty sure it's Refuse to Choose. But scanners are interested in a lot of different things, and their soul kind of dies if they have to specialize. And with what you said about like getting bored and you wanted to, and then you've got the cookbooks.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got to look up that book. I'll check, and I'll double check after this call, but you sound exactly like one of the people she was writing about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, everyone's like, I'm totally a scanner. I agree with that, Rebecca. You definitely are a scanner. I think it is Refuse to Choose. Dave just put the link in the interests, passions, and hobbies. Yeah, definitely read that book. So that seems to have served you well then. So did you spend any time, not that I do this, asking for a friend, obviously, but did you spend any time, as you mentioned, you had anxiety issues. Did you spend any time kind of feeling like you shouldn't, and what's wrong with me, and how do I change who I am? Or were you just, this is who I am, I'm going with it?
Oh yeah. So like you're asking that in the past tense, and I would put it in the present tense. Do I struggle with this?
See,
Yeah.
I tend to think of life as before and after. And I assume we're all in the after.
Oh, so I
So
have moments. I definitely have moments, but as you get older, I think you care less about
yeah,
certain things, right? You get a
yeah,
little more distance, you get a little more control. You get tired, you just don't care anymore. So I've certainly struggled with it. But even today, like if I don't have enough gigs lined up, I think automatically that everybody hates me. And they all found it out. They all discovered that Tanya doesn't know what she's doing.
we
But then
all
I get
do
over
that.
right. And then I get over it and I say screw it and I do it anyway.
And does it help you talking to people on the mentoring sessions and reaffirming that literally, because I find that I'll beat myself up for not doing enough, but then the
Yeah.
more people I help and have to talk down from doing the same thing, it's getting harder to do it myself, because when you spend so much time teaching other people something, it gets harder to fool yourself.
Sure. And I think there are struggles that you think you have in narration or performance or creativity that you think are only your own.
Mhm.
And then you start talking to people and you realize, oh my gosh, everybody has these struggles.
Yeah.
Like A-list narrators, people that you would never expect, have doubts. They have times when the work doesn't come in. They think it's personal. Um, and there was a lot of people recently because of COVID that have been experiencing work shortages, right? So why aren't people hiring me? Why is this happening? What can I do? But if you pull back and you look at the industry as a whole, you realize that audiobooks shifted, but we were delayed in that shift, right? Because the machine was running in April of last year. And then by summer, new projects started coming up, and publishing companies postponed a ton of projects. All of their workforce was working at home. Everyone was scrambling. So, of course, there would be less work for us for a while. Like in this business, you have to remember that there is an element of timing and luck, as well as like talent and applying yourself. Um, and I'm not a numbers person, but sometimes statistics comfort me. And I think the more I try, the more the chances increase that somehow I'm going to get something sometime. I don't know if that's
Yes.
comfort. It
If
comforts
you
me.
work every single day, and I mean, the thing is, if you're trying and you're working, and you can always work. I mean, they've already heard me go on about get a public domain book. If you know what I mean, there's always something to be doing. You know,
Right.
I don't have any patience for, I don't have anything to do. Have you updated your website? Have you done your demos?
There are always things that you can do. And there's a couple of things that I think about that. Also, I think we need to make space for not doing. We need to make sure
Mm.
that there are times when we rest, when we take a weekend off, because it gives our body time to recharge, gives our mind, our creative spirit. And then I had a second thing, but now I've forgotten. So maybe it'll come back.
Are you good at that? I have to
What? Good at
work
what?
on that. Taking days off. I have to work on that.
No, I've been horrible at it. And that's another reason why I started Company Mentor, because I got super dangerously burnt out, where I was producing and working all the time to the detriment of my health, my sanity, my relationships. And when I wasn't working, I felt guilty because I felt like I should be working. Like I should do all of these things, even though I was doing like 50 things every day. It was never enough. And that can wear you down. And it did. So I guess I had a crisis of spirit or whatever. And now I schedule things differently. I schedule an extra day to record books so that I can have a little more freedom. Instead of saying, I'm going to get it to you in 3 days, I now say, I can get it to you in 4 days. And by just that simple change, it means that I don't have to be in the studio every single moment of the day. I can take a walk. I can have some food. Like, what a concept.
Yeah,
So
I'm getting suspicious that the reason I'm uncomfortable doing it is because I'm avoiding some, because I realized last night I was like answering an email about somebody that wanted me to do a book, and I'm like negotiating at 3 a.m. under the covers so I don't wake my bird up. And like cold contact. I remember the one year I had the flu, like 2 years ago, fetal position. I'm on my laptop sending
Right.
cold contact letters on Amazon because I was scared of being sick and not. It was 2 years ago. I was like still at that, I've got to keep work. But I wonder when we keep ourselves that busy, what we're hiding from. Because you'd think you just want to have fun and take a walk and relax. There's some level of anxiety. You're obviously.
I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think some of it's in our culture too. Like we're trained to produce, produce, produce. And audiobooks are really fast, and we feel threatened when we're not always asking for work. But it's also sort of like, who's someone that you want to work with? Do you want to work with someone who has like frenetic energy and is overbooked? Or do you want to work with someone who's rooted and solid and gives you deadlines that they meet? So some of it's actually being kind of smart.
That's a good way to look at it. We have a question. Melissa would like to know, best advice for social media balance. Social media makes, and this is in caps, everyone else look like they're widely successful and can get to the comparison problem. Yet we seem to need to be present on social media. Oh my gosh. And I immediately had a flashback to Melissa Benson lifting 8,000-pound weights with a bunch of men standing around in awe as she's like just knocked out the fitness world.
Right.
It's hard. We all have the pressure. What do you think of that, and how do you deal with it?
Right. So remember that everyone on social media is presenting who they want to be, right? It's not always who they are completely authentically all the time, because most of us are basket cases. So we're going to post the really good things. Some narrators do a ton of stuff, and that is amazing, and that is awesome. But not all of us have the time or energy or desire to do that. So I would say like the easiest tip for social media is to stop worrying so much about posting, hey, I'm doing this, and look at this, this is awesome. One thing you can do is simply like posts. Like posts from producers, publishers, narrators. And do it consistently, and maybe every once in a while comment on something, because you're going to start to build name recognition. And so when your audition comes through, when your email comes through to them, they may not know how they know you, but they see the name and they're like, oh yeah, I know that person. And they might be more apt to read it. So if that's one change that you can make, that's something I would suggest.
And also, please stop posting everything saying out of the clear blue sky, because that's becoming a pet peeve. It seems to be the new social media thing, to make it seem like the world's just dropping opportunities on you. And
yeah,
everyone else is like killing themselves. So it just makes everyone else feel like you were sitting there with your latte and 700 amazing jobs just fell in your lap.
Some people do get really lucky, but again, I said it's that element of timing and magic, whatever. And then some of us, this is so cheesy, but I do say it, and I'm sorry, it's really cheesy, but to be prepared for luck, right? So you have to set the foundation. So when luck happens, there you are ready for it. And then it looks like, oh my gosh, this fell out of the sky for me. But no, really, I've been working for 5 years at building all of this so that when this happened.
Right. See, that's what I think. I think, really, you didn't do any, and I believe it. I'm a sucker. I believe it every single time. I think, how did that happen and you didn't do anything to work for it?
Well, and I mean, you gotta give people credit too. It's an exciting social media post. They're excited. They're probably not thinking, I don't think we always know the things that we've done to build a foundation. So it may feel like it just happened out of the blue.
Yeah. And Melissa, I unfollow everyone except professional connections. That way I'm connected and can cook friends up, but don't have to be inundated with their feed. I only allow into my feed what helps me. Actually, that wasn't a question.
Yeah, that's great.
And
it points to the fact that we do have control over what we see, what we expose ourselves to. So I usually accept friend requests, but if they start posting things that make me feel yucky, I don't have a problem hiding them or not including that in my everyday life.
It's a weird concept, isn't it? Because we're all trying to do it right. And I have a goal group, and the number one thing people are like, get my head around social media. Everyone thinks there's like stuff we need to do. And I'm just now trying to do the Instagram thing. Still annoys me, but I'm in there. But
I feel
it's
like
so easy to get wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just don't think in right or wrong. I post things that I like. I'm not always posting about work. I post things about cooking. I write my little tiny poems. I post music. I just try to be a full person. That's not comfortable for everyone else. You know, you have to do, I think part of this whole thing about audiobooks is it's a self-driven thing, and you need to start trusting yourself and your gut. And if something makes you feel yucky, then don't do it. Some
Not
people
just
are
audiobooks.
right. And like some people are amazing at TikTok. I'm not. So I don't do TikTok. Let them be a star.
Yeah, good point. Good. And I admire the people that do the social media. But I
Yeah.
think that's what it is managing, and you have to know yourself as well. Sometimes you beat yourself up. Sometimes if you're having a bad day, you literally go on social media. Like,
I've had my moments.
we did have a comment. It seems that our community has a sort of macho thing where we feel the need to always have the answers, always have projects going, and always on the go.
Yeah,
I never noticed that in acting. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think it changed over the years. I think in the beginning, when the community was really small, people were generally like, "Hey, this is a cool thing that I did," and everyone's like, "Great." But it's changed over the years. And one of my least favorite times of the years is when people say, "Hey, I recorded 86 titles this year," which is great. But what kind of life did you have to record 86 titles? And just because they recorded 86 titles doesn't mean that the work that I did on my books that was meaningful is any less. So I think there is kind of a macho attitude, and well, not that, not going to be gender, whatever, that there's this attitude of like, I work so hard, I work all the time, it's amazing. That's great for some people, but that doesn't mean that has to be my path.
And I know I'm guilty, and I hate it when people do it, and I'm guilty. I'm guilty because I'm a workaholic. So I'm like, and also because I think it's my only thing. I've got 100 and such, you know, but then I have friends that have 30, 40, 50 books, and I see them as massive successes because I'm looking at their talent, their books, the people they've worked with. Do you know what I mean? So for other people, I'm not judging.
We're the hardest on ourselves. And this is when I take a step back. Sometimes I recommend, even just this week, if you just step back, it's Tuesday already. So what have you accomplished in the last 2 days? Did you record an audition? Did you work on a website? Did you connect with someone? You're actually accomplishing a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And I took Monday off recording. I'm so excited. I treated myself to a house cleaning day. It's my favorite thing in the world to do. That makes me a really boring person, doesn't it? I love a clean house, like the 1950s clean where you smell. Yeah. Okay. I digress. So cooking.
Right.
Did you have a childhood, somebody teach you how to cook, or where did the love for cooking come from?
No, that's the problem. My favorite meal as a kid was a Swanson's frozen chicken dinner with a brownie, mashed potatoes.
Good, though. Those are really good.
I mean, they're really good.
The Salisbury steak one.
Yeah. My mom's a terrible cook, actually. And I was raised in the 70s and 80s where everything was like Campbell's soup and salt. And then I found out that there was real food out there, and I just kind of freaked out. So.
And was it your cookbook that was a bestseller? It was a cookbook, right?
Oh, that wasn't a bestseller. No, I think that sold maybe 20 copies.
What was the bestseller?
My rom-com series written with Serena Bowen.
Oh, wow.
Series. Man Hands, Boy Toy.
And how did that start? How did you get into doing that?
So I wrote about 100 pages to Man Hands, and I got stuck. And I had recorded a couple of books for Serena, and she happened to know my now ex-husband from high school. So I just sent it to her and said, hey, I've got 100 pages here. Do you want to step in and write it with me? So I wasn't, I was afraid, and how embarrassing if she said no, but I didn't really care. And it just happened that she was looking for more comedic projects at the time, and she was looking to collaborate. So I just happened to ask her at the right time.
I love that. And again, you just followed your interest.
Yeah.
They say that, you know, we're each living like, and we know this is true, like the way I see the world is a completely different world than the way you see it. But I think sometimes we can learn from each other. I'm trying to get into Tanya's brain, and I kind of get this feeling of somebody that's just like, you see exciting things on the path, like, ooh, look at, like, what's a bird that sees anything that glitters, they steal it. you know, ooh, look at this, look at that. I love that, though.
I puzzles, and I think it's really fun to solve them.
I love that. So what did you learn narrating? Because you've been narrating a long time. What was, do you think, the biggest kind of game-changing thing that you learned that you would tell the old you that was just starting out?
I think there was a change that happened. In the beginning, I was so focused on pronouncing every word correctly and doing accents perfectly, that I lost the soul of it. And then there was a book I read where suddenly I just wasn't as worried anymore, and narration expanded. So I started making wilder choices, broader choices. And I think that permission to allow myself to do that really, really changed things.
You kind of sunk into it.
Yeah. And I tell you, so there is something about the industry that bugs me. And I love all the coaches. We're all here trying to help everybody. But I don't like it when people say that there's one way to do something. I don't believe that. I 100% do not believe that. That way that they do it may work perfect for them. My process, doing all these little things and whatever, works great for me. It may be the exact wrong way for you. And I think we have to acknowledge that there are many, many paths in this business.
I had that growing up as an actor, and in all the training, and wherever you went, you'd go somewhere else and they'd tell you that where you had just been wasn't the real way to do it. And eventually you either find, and it's funny you say that, because I'm doing a book right now, and for the first time, for no reason at all, I'm just not stopping and looking things up, because, like, I know them. But whereas before, certain words I would always double check, because it wasn't
Well, and I will tell you, it still happens. So I had a name in a book, XI, and I was certain it was Chi, because I've done 100 books, whatever. And then I found a sample that said Chi, and I was like, cool, that's confirmed. And I went ahead and I read the book. This happened last week. And I got 350 corrections back, because the correct pronunciation is actually she.
She, and see, I would have said Z. I would have had 350 corrections. It happens
all the time. So, I mean, I guess there's people who are going to tell you and believe 100% that this is a way for you, and it may align or it may not.
I've got a little trick with names.
Okay.
I've never, ever, ever had it go wrong, but the minute I tell you it, it will go wrong. Okay. And everyone probably already does it. Anytime I have a weird name, I've noticed that writers get the names from things they see, favorite sports people. So all I do is YouTube interview that name.
Right.
And the one with the most search results is the most common, and it's most likely the one the writer has thought of, unless they're getting it from, like, their great aunt, if there's 7 different pronunciations. Never ever had it go wrong.
Awesome. I should have done that.
Never ever had it go. I don't know about that name, though. Not sure if that would work. So, okay, so you sound comfortable, which is convenient because of the comfy mentor. But are you are you comfortable in what you're doing right now, where you're going? What are you excited about now? You probably have a nickel of something of like a direction.
I mean, I feel like I am comfortable. And when I was trying to decide on, I wanted to offer coaching, but I didn't want to call it coaching because I don't like sports. And I I don't like telling people what to do, and I don't like giving advice on your acting choices because those are personal. So I came up with mentoring, and I wanted it to be comfortable. So I came up with that. And so that felt good. And what I have going on right now, I feel comfortable in my narration. Some people don't like it. I do get some best-selling titles, but I don't get the stuff that, the award-winning stuff, the complicated, intense, the beautiful lyrical writing that we all want. I don't get that stuff, and that's okay. I'm making a living. So, something I'm working on right now that I'm really excited about is a thriller novel. I love mysteries, thriller, really dark stuff. And while
Yeah.
I
You saw my eyes light up immediately. Oh my God.
So I'm about halfway through it, and I feel like it's really challenging, and it's fun, and it's for me.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You know, when you like, you can honestly say, the book I'm doing right now, I'm really enjoying.
Mhm.
I would read it on my own. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
And remember when we were reading books when you're young, and it's like when books, okay, I'm really, really old, Gus. When you're like 99 years old, like me, books were paperback. When, you would pick up a book and it was expensive to buy, like, everything wasn't online, so it was expensive to buy a book. So if you're a voracious reader, it was a
Yeah.
big deal to get the next best writer, we're so spoiled. We're having
Mm.
people throw amazing books at us, and writers that are like, you would never get to meet. You know what I
Right.
mean? Or
So we do get those, but also we get the crap books.
yeah.
And let's acknowledge that those books help us eat. And here's what I do with those books that are really challenging is I try to make it a game. And how can I improve this book? How
Oh,
can
I
I
love
take
that.
in me and make these characters have more personality?
And also the writers become your friends of those books as well, because they love, this is their dream, their chase. It's something to be said for having a bunch of friends that are chasing their dreams.
You may think that it's a terrible book, but there could be someone out there that this book means everything to, and they just love it.
Yeah.
Give it
Yeah.
credit.
It's an honor. I think it's an honor that somebody's trusting us,
Mhm.
you know. So favorite thing to do outside audiobooks? Favorite, like, decompress, movie night, popcorn, food, go
Yeah.
shoot guns, boxing.
I take a lot of long walks. I love my cocktails. I do paint by numbers, which I love. I tried coloring books, but you had to make too many choices. And I got really stressed out and I couldn't, it was not relaxing. I just wanted to stab things. So now I do paint by numbers and everything is out there for you. In fact, that's one. Um,
You did that?
yeah, it's a jackalope.
Would they tell you, so it's like an outline on a piece of paper and they tell you what color goes on what?
Yeah, I'll show you. See? So I know you can't see the numbers, but you
Yes.
just, right. Yeah, so that's what I do to relax.
That's
Um,
actually quite cool.
I love it. I love it. And then, I like good food. I miss my friends. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you a hugger? Are you like one of those people that can't wait to see people in public, in like real life?
Nope. I will be super excited to see you from a distance. Uh, I I'm very awkward. I mean, I really am awkward. In fact, someone had mentioned is like they said, "Well, yeah, I sat at a table with you and you were so uncomfortable." I was like, "Yeah, that's me." um, once I know you, once we are friends, then yes, I'm happy to hug.
Yeah, I'm not a hugger.
Yeah.
I'm not a hugger, but I am refilling everyone's drinks the entire night.
Right. I like having tasks. So that leads me to another recommendation, something that I did in the beginning because everyone seemed to have these, not cliques, but connections already. So like at APAC, everybody knew each other, and I just felt like I didn't know anybody.
It does.
So
I'm sorry. It does. Because can I just say, I've got to say this, and you can shoot me for it, but everyone says it's the most friendly industry in the entire world. But when you're not best friends from 6 APACs back with all those people, it feels like they're the cool kids at the lunch table and they're all having so much fun and friendly. And it feels even more intimidating.
yeah. So this is what I did. And of course I mean, you can do it a little bit, but I volunteered. So I volunteered, and it gave me, I was greeting people, and that's like the worst job ever for me because I don't like people. But it forced me to say hi to people, and it gave me a job because I was supposed to do it.
Yeah.
And another time I ran the check-in table at an event. And so I made friends with the person who was with me because we're stuck there together. So it's a great way to start building community. And then I encourage people who go to APAC for the first time to find the other first timers.
Yeah.
And like, I'm open and honest, and I say, I'm super uncomfortable. Can I just stand next to you for a little bit? And usually people are like, sure.
I always, if I'm in an awkward, I normally like, I'm the life of the party, but if I'm in an awkward situation, I'm always out like in the parking lot with some weird guys that are drinking.
Yeah.
You know, I find the weirdos because sometimes too much networking freaks me out.
Yeah. Well, and it will take everything in me. I will have a great time at all these events, but then I will need to decompress for a couple of months.
So you're an introvert.
Total introvert.
I mean, I hate labels and everything, but
yeah, but sometimes they make sense.
yeah.
My friend Amy McFadden, she's a total extrovert. So, and in fact, I didn't even want to be her friend, but she forced me to.
But you're very comfortable on Zooms, aren't you?
Yeah, this is okay. This is great.
Yeah. And I got it. I mean, I don't know if I told you, but the one networking event I successfully showed up for in London, and I ran in best friends, everyone loved kisses, hugs. I was like, wow, I really fit into this industry. They all had their name tags on. I gave them my cards. I think people have heard it, so I won't repeat it a millionth time, but the speaker got up. It was a cult, like some weird cult. I was on the wrong floor. The publishing event was like on the 6th floor. And when I got up there, was a whole bunch of people standing there eagerly waiting to give their card out. And,
like, everybody loves me. This is awesome.
Yeah. And they all called me for days.
Yeah.
Afterwards, like, yeah, they were my new best friends. Somebody says, oh no. Okay. So I don't know if he wants this said out loud, because he didn't put question on it, so I won't say the name, but somebody had said, but I think it's useful for the talk. As an introvert, it is hard to look at 18 Zoom faces and not think that there are 17 wonderful, successful narrators and me, the fraud. I hear this from people, because of Cup of Joe, messaging me every single day, saying the same thing.
Sure, but I mean, even again, let's play the number game. Just take a step back, and statistically, do you think it's likely that you are in this group and you are the worst of them? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
It's not possible.
You're the only fraud. There are many other frauds.
Yeah, there's at least one fraud a day, because I can tell you, I got messages. Every single person thinks that, and they always think that.
Yeah, and like, what happens if you're vulnerable? What happens if you say, I feel like a fraud? I bet you 10 other people are going to say, I'm right there with you. This is hard. This is hard stuff. It is, it's a hard business to break into. It's draining, exhausting, and you always feel like I can be doing better. And yeah,
but
so
you like those people better. Somebody posted the other day, you know, they were getting divorced and personal things, and they said it's been a hard time and I've had to put things off. And I loved that person. Instantly thought, wow, how brave, how amazing. The people that are posting, and yes, now I see your point of view. I should be more kind in my thoughts toward them. But the people that are posting, out of the clear blue sky, I just got taken on by yet another publisher. You know, I mean, I've done 6 books and I've worked really, really hard. I like the person that said they had a hard time better, because I'm human, and I connect more easily to somebody that's being vulnerable than to somebody that's showing me how successful they are. And I know why they're doing it, because they feel they have to do it, because you have to
Yeah.
look successful to be successful.
Right.
But sometimes it's like you said.
I believe that, but I understand where you're coming from.
I think that's why, I mean, I've heard it, and I always tell myself that's why they're doing it.
Yeah.
To look successful, because they feel they need to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I can say from a publisher producer point of view is that things are so very busy, that when someone's posting, here's my new book, or here's this awesome thing that I did, I don't really have time to click on that. But do I have time to click on a picture of their cat's belly? Probably do.
So my 7,000 pictures of my pet bird, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's pretty easy to see what I really love. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I've noticed on Instagram, I am trying, but it's just tons of pictures of coffee.
That's all right.
Yeah.
There's probably some people out there who love coffee. Maybe even a producer who gets a book on coffee.
And the person, somebody just said, thank you, I'm just 5 books in. 5 books in is not easy. We've all been 5 books in at one, and a lot of people on this call are just 5 books in.
Yep.
5 books in is brilliant. 5 books in means you mean it, and you just got to keep hanging on.
Yeah, it means too that you came back. So after that first book, which was so hard and draining and you're exhausted, then you said, that's great, I'm going to do that again.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll ask for, and then another person, and this brings us to something else, that I only have 3, and the last one was in December. And can I just tell you guys, fast forward 5 years, and you're still going to be saying the same thing, and you're going to feel, I feel right now, 5 years later, exactly like you do with your, and the last one was in December. Every single narrator I've ever met feels worried if there's too much space between books, or if they don't have enough that they can't really kind of see the end.
We're freelancers, and that is the real worry. So for me, that's also why I have some side projects, because it takes a little pressure off. To know that, okay, I don't have a book to record right now, but I can produce a book, or I can work on my own book. So those are real worries, but you can't live there.
Yeah. And it really is true, because if I do a public domain book, it makes me feel better. I'm a working narrator doing a public domain book. The minute I tell myself I'm going to be busy doing that book, suddenly people want your time. Mm-hmm. If the minute what is it? The universe hates a void or something. I get my quotes wrong. But like, if there's like an empty space, fill it. So right. It's that energy of doing. Yeah. So what do you hear most people ask you when you're mentoring? What do you wish you could make them understand? Everyone says that they've got lots of homework from you after every call. Oh my God, I've got so much to do after talking to Tanya.
I think it's about saying yes. I don't think it's much. We decide on 1 or 2 manageable goals, which I think helps quiet the all I should, and helps you focus on those 1 or 2 things. And then you feel like, oh yeah, this week I'm going to look at my website. This week I'm going to add 3 different clips. It's just stuff like that. What do I wish people knew? I wish that people, I think there's a fallacy that you only get 1 chance to make a good impression. I don't think that's true in audiobooks.
Really?
I don't. Hold on just a second. You're leaving. Okay. Be careful. That's my son.
You've just become my favorite person. Because I thought that. I thought you only get 1.
I don't think so, because everything's so busy. Everyone is pummeled. It's going to take them a while to remember you. And that kind of feels sucky, because you're like, oh, I met them, they should know me. Well, it's relationship building, and they're not going to remember you at first, unless you're a total psychopath. And then maybe you should not be in audiobooks. But I think you have many opportunities to meet someone and develop that relationship. So that's one thing I would tell people to relax a little bit on. So it means that if you reached out to a publisher 6 months ago and you haven't heard anything, and you're like, well, I already reached out to them. My website wasn't ready. My clips weren't good. I screwed up. No, you reach out again and you say, hey, I've recorded this many more books, and here's my website with some great new clips if you've forgotten the sound of my voice.
And keep it simple. I remember that from the session I had with you.
Yeah.
Because you can get too in your head. You can get too much advice. And as I said, for an example, guys, and let's talk vulnerability. I told Tanya before the call, it doesn't matter how hard you work or how much you do. You could, like a friend of mine, okay, it was me, be up at 4 a.m. in the morning, Googling, why is success eluding me? Saving 70-something articles, and then cutting out the highlights and bullet pointing them so you can fix things. We all have dark nights of the soul, every single one of us, and we'll probably always have them, right? All the great writers had dark nights of the soul, I like to think.
You just manage it. I did see a comment that popped up, and I just read the first part of it, but it said, I feel like I blew speed dating.
Yeah, I just saw that too. I just saw that too. So you're forgiven for reading the comment.
When you see language in front of you, you just read it.
I'm teasing. I'm totally joking. That is a fabulous catch because it's a good one. What do we say? What do you say to that, Tanya?
I say you didn't. I say if it was recent, know that they're seeing a lot of different people, 20 people. So maybe that day you were a little off. You didn't shine your brightest. You feel like somebody else did a better job. It doesn't matter because you have had an opportunity to meet them, and now you can follow up and write to them and reframe it. I was so happy to meet you. Thank you for taking the time. Just to remind you, these are the books I'm awesome at. Here's my website. And just have that attitude, and eventually they'll check out your stuff. If you've acknowledged that you were in speed dating, that reminds them that you were in speed dating. They may not remember all the details, but they might check out your site. So make sure that your clips on your site represent who you want to be in the industry. That's more important. You didn't blow it.
And so many people I know say they don't have a response after speed dating. So many people I know. And
because the producers get everybody who is in speed dating writes
immediately.
To them.
Yeah.
Immediately. And that's what I'm saying is that, if you only write to them once, nothing's going to happen. But and you can't write to them every week, like, hey, right? You have to do it
every 8 weeks.
Yeah. Like spit it out.
Since September.
Right. I don't think people understand in the industry how busy producers and casting people are. So that's why I always encourage you to keep your emails really short, give them the important information, which is, here's when I'm available, here's what I'm good at, here's my site. But no, I don't believe that you blew it.
Yeah, I don't believe it either. Especially knowing the person that posted, oh my God, you're amazing. There's no way you blew it. So
there was one person who I met at speed dating, and he got in my personal space and he said, I am the voice you are looking for. And I pulled back and I said, nope, you're not. So I think that's the only time I can say someone blew it. He blew it with me, but that might have worked for somebody else.
That's quite aggressive.
Yeah, for me, it was scary.
Yeah, that's, I mean, there is people skills and all that.
Yeah.
So then here's another thing that I'd love to ask you now that we've got you here. Okay. They say in business, and somebody said this recently, and I feel a bit stupid that I don't really understand how it works. They said that you always open with something about them. And so you do a little research and you look. Now, there's like 80 publishers and everything. So to properly do research about all of them, it's to open the email with something about them. Oh, I heard that. But for instance, if you're going to say something, oh, I read that such and such book came out from Penguin Random House. When it's like a rabbit hole. If you look up Penguin Random House, there's like 7,000 different divisions. And how is that personal?
A few ways to handle that is, instead of saying, here's a book, doing all this research, maybe you saw them at an event at APAC, and maybe you took some notes and you quoted something that they said. When you write to them, you say, thank you so much for your time at APAC. You said that narrators could blah, blah, blah. That meant a lot to me. They're more apt to read your email and take it seriously if you show that kind of connection. The other thing is, yeah, there's 80 publishers, but you don't sit down and write to them all on Monday.
Yeah.
Set a goal, right? You don't do it on Monday. You do it on Monday for the next 4 months.
Yeah.
So when I talk about attainable, like small, manageable goals, so I might say and work with someone and say, okay, this week you're going to reach out to 2 publishers and you're going to research them. Maybe they have a webinar. Maybe they said something on Twitter that was really interesting. And you'll reach out to them. And so you make it meaningful, you make it manageable. And then every Monday, it's kind of the thing that you do. And then it's on a rotating basis too. So if work does come in, it's staggered a little bit.
That makes more sense. I can see myself looking up a YouTube video or looking up podcasts or webinars. I can see that much more easily than me reading the business pages.
Right.
Because I don't care. So if I put that in an email and pretend I care,
Right.
I care about business in that I do what I have to do. But I come from corporate background and the word makes me just die.
Yeah. Well, that's why I say there's a lot of different paths here. Some people love that business stuff. And some people can make a successful email without that whole personal connection.
Okay. I like that. I like that. I love the idea of checking.
Right. And then if you don't get a response, then in another 6 weeks, when you reach out to them, you look and you see that there was no response. So then you tweak it. You change your approach.
Yeah. So I noticed you didn't respond to me on my email. And then 6 weeks later, I noticed you still haven't.
Right.
I know. And also I'm trying to learn the intention behind the email. Like the intention behind a book, when you first start narrating and you're working directly with authors, you're worried when you first start. You're kind of like, I'm sending the book to you. Oh my God, please don't hate it. Oh my God, please don't come back. And I learned a long time ago that the way I feel about the book when I'm doing it, but also when I'm sending them a gift that I'm really proud of, that I know they're going to love. I'm trying to do that with publisher contacts as well, rather than sending it off as somebody told me do that with bills once. Oh my God, this is me being able to pay. This is wonderful. It's like proof that like I'm managing my life like and so that feeling of goodness in what you're doing. So I'm trying to do that with my letters.
But you're also setting their expectations. So if you start with an email that says, I hope you like it. I know that it's missing some of this stuff, but I hope you feel okay about it. Mm-hmm. They're going to go into it thinking she did not do her best, and I'm going to find some things.
Yeah.
If you see an email that says, hey, just letting you know, this was so much fun. It was awesome. Please let me know if you find any corrections that are errors. I'm happy to correct those in text, right? So you're controlling the conversation, and you're also just kind of standing firm like, hey, this is business. I loved your book and I did a great job.
And I'm really cocky at this point, considering it's been professionally proofed and edited it in the highly unlikely event.
Right, that you find an error.
It's I know it's woo-woo, but there was like a diet woman I listened to a long time, but she started every single podcast with, I'm setting the intention that you're going, and I'm starting to think there's something to the intention. This is what I intend to do.
I mean, I'm really interested in psychology, and I think there is a lot to be said for reframing. We tell ourselves stories. Right. And so if you can reframe things and take control over it, that can be helpful.
Are you going to write another book? You should write another book.
Like what kind? I mean, I am working on a thriller.
Adventures of a Comfy Mentor. Write a book for us. Write a book of wisdom for audiobook narrators. Wouldn't you guys buy that book if Tanya wrote it? I would in a second.
There'd be a lot of swearing in it.
Yes, exactly. You know your audience. And a thriller. And a thriller. Yep. I love that. So I'm excited to see where you go next. I am, because and even before I booked a session with you, I didn't know you very well. I've heard, people were raving about you. Literally, Gina Rogers dropped your name like she wouldn't mind me saying this, every 5 minutes. Tanya is the best thing since sliced bread. But the thing is, before that, even, you were on Twitter, and I only knew you from Twitter. I kind of knew you were the same person as Blunder Woman, but I more knew the beautiful walks, and you did that well, curated that, the recipes and the cooking and all of that stuff. You were a person that it was fun to feel connected to on social media.
Oh, thank you.
And that's a talent these days. That's a massive. So Tanya.
Yes.
Everyone on these calls at the very end.
Oh no.
It's going to be on YouTube for the next 60 years or so. So do you have any last words of wisdom or advice or anything you'd like to say to your YouTube audience?
Yes. Occasionally eat dessert first.
I could follow that advice right now.
Yeah. I learned that from Amy McFadden. So we go to a restaurant and she's like, okay, we'd like an appetizer of 6 home-baked cookies. I was like, you can't do that. And she said, yes, you can. It's great.
You did a video about APAC, didn't you, with Amy McFadden? Was that you? And oh my God, that was magic. I didn't know you. I just now put that together. That was hysterical. That was amazing. Do you do acting as well?
No.
So you should.
We'll see. I don't have any big words of wisdom except, I talk like I know everything, but I don't, right? And what works for me may not work for you. So I just want to encourage everybody to kind of trust your gut, make some friends, get feedback, reach out to people, be vulnerable. You can do this. I believe it.
I love that. It's one session with you and I felt 90% less manic. So, and that's a lot. So everyone, I will be posting Tanya's information on the YouTube video. So if anybody wants to look Tanya up, if you ever have a dark night of your own soul, Tanya's your person. And thank you for everything you do for the community, because you make us all better. And
Tear.
No, you do. You make us better.
All right. Well, it's nice to see all your faces. And I've got my Blunder Woman Productions website. So if you're not on the roster, feel free to join that. You just need to have a home studio and you'll get audition notices. So everyone take care.
Wonderful. And I'll post the Blunder Woman info on the About section as well, so people can look it up. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. And thank you, Tanya, for our going away before APAC call. You were a jewel. Thank you very much. Take care. Have a good night, everyone. Bye. Bye.
Come on, everybody, tap along. First you scrub a dub, then you tap and rub. You might have to yell when you hear the bell ring out loud and long. Oh, everybody scrub along and play. Tap that old time rhythm while